2 weeks of junk food, no training, shit shoes, and I still climbed the biggest mountain in my area. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was in a vacation in Finland, and it was the first vacation I ever did where I'm not at a sea. Normally, my family and I are going to like a sea area in Finland, in Sweden, somewhere up in the north, and I was never up in the mountains before. So I still did what I ever did. I woke up, had only my three spots: the sofa, my bed, and where the food is, like the fridge. And the pile of chips we bought in Sweden. Fuck, I love Sweden chips. I barely did 1,000 steps per day because we didn't have a real sea. We got out of sauna, get a cold shower, then we were just like for bathrobes, standing outside and enjoying the big view. And there was a big ass mountain, and the biggest route was the Black Route. That was 16 kilometers around the big ass mountain. It was like 900 meters in hike difference and 60 kilometers of like just walking path. And I don't know what caught me, but the mountain looks so huge. I don't know. I just knew the feeling would be awesome if I was able to climb it. So my father said like, yo bro, do you want to climb that shit with me? I was like, nah brother, I just want the couch. I'm not really well trained for it. I'm only eating chips right now, so I'm fucked, brother. I will never get that done. It's like, okay, but think about it. And in the last week we were there, it was like 3 days before we left. I was something like, if you really want to climb it, we need to do it now. So I was there, sitting there and thinking, okay, I had two options. Either I pussy out and go home and never do anything again, and probably bite my ass in a few months when it's like, fuck, I really wanted to climb that mountain because it would be such a huge achievement, or I just fucking did it. So I looked my father straight in the eyes and said, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it. So let's just say I wasn't very well slept. Like I didn't have a very good sleep before the day of climbing the mountains. So it's just like, okay, it's only 16 kilometers. And then I thought about like, okay, what was the longest route I ever walked? And the longest route I ever walked were 8 kilometers when I was like 10. And that was huge for me. So I'm about to double that shit, plus climbing up 900 meters because it's a fucking mountain and not just a straight path. I just put on some of my shoes and shit and my normal clothes, and my phone was like, what the fuck are you about to do? He gave me some gear like the jacket can breathe a lot more, better trousers, but I still had on my fucking normal $20 walking boots, and he gave me one walking stick, and we packed like 2 liters of water, and as the only food resource we put on oh no, we got like some bread as well, like. And then he explained to me the route I wanted to do, where I really get all the way up to the mountain and go all the way back down again, was the Black Path with an estimated time of 10 hours. And I didn't know that before. I thought it was like, okay, it will be like a 2, 3, 4 hour quick walk and then we can go back and I can eat my chips and shit. No, it was a 10-hour estimated walk. Like, fuck, man. Okay, let's fucking do it. We got into the car, drove there, then we started the hike. So there we were. We began the walk. I started my timer and thought like, okay, let's see how long we are gonna take. So after we started the walk, the few first kilometers were very, very chill. It was like a little bit of, we were in the woods, like a wood region before we go up really high. But there was something else I didn't know at the time, but I will tell you later what it was. So I started the hike with my father. We started talking about religion and other stuff I wanted to talk about with him, because I knew we had a lot of time to talk to today. So we started the walk, and after like, I felt I did half of everything already. There was like a hut, but we just want to have a little break before we started the real climb the mountain up, because it was not like over 16 kilometers, there was a 900 meter spike. No. There was like a very low beginning and then it got really high, really fast. But at that time I was just in the hut, chilling, eating the first crackers I got. I was like, okay, man, we got this. Ain't that difficult. We get the first 5 kilometers. Like, fuck it, we are good. And my dad stared at me and was like, 5 kilometers, brother? That was 3. We had 13 kilometers to go. And that was the easy part. We started the walk again, and out of nowhere the path that was like pre-made was gone, and we just trampled through rivers and shit, and my boots got wet. So we got up and there it hits me. The thing I didn't really thought about, ice cold wind. So I started there and then there was the ice cold wind, and I was like, fuck, man, that shit is cold as hell. And I was walking up and we fucking even saw reindeers up there. I was like, fuck, man, bro, I'm really in the wild right now. It was like going up very high, very fast, and I was like really out of breath. Like 3-4 steps and I was like I felt like I'm about to throw up. I was like, fuck, shit, that is hitting real hard. But at that point we were so high and so far in the hike. There was like, but I can't go down and say like, fuck this, I'm breaking that shit up. No. We are going to a quick break again, and then we pack our stuff and start walking again. And after like, we got like nearly behind the mountain, it was like, okay, now all my energy reserves are fucking gone. And we were about not even halfway through the walk. I can't. I just listen to my thought of stories, so I don't think about how miserable I am right now. And we did like every kilometer or 2 kilometers, I think, a quick break, because my knees, my legs were about to collapse every time. I felt like I don't have any energy left. And we had like a 4-minute break, but we couldn't really stay long because remember, there was a very cold wind, and if we stop there and get very cold, it takes a long time to get warm again, and then it's even worse to walk. So it was like always, I didn't have enough time to really recover. I was like always like, come on, we need to go. And then I walked away alongside, and then finally we were about to go down again, and the path was gone again. Very crazy, because we needed to find a way back to the path. And it's not like because we are shit at finding the path. It was like the path was just gone. Like you saw the steps and then there was a cutoff and there was nowhere. We have no fucking idea where it was. It was crazy. We walked through lakes to go to the other side because it was like so it was like a swamp as well. Like we tried to walk through a swamp, but our foot got so deep in, we like, no, we need to go back and go through the lake and just hop on from one wood to the other wood because the swamp was so deep with dirt. And after a while, that was like better because we were back in the woods, and was like, okay. But then the real dirty part became, because the first part of the wood we walked was like everything was slippy as hell. Everything was like very slimy, and you need to really watch out where you need to go. But after a while, we finished that, and then we got back to solid stone ground. And I walked and I saw the car we drove here with, and I just screamed like, fuck yeah! I was so happy, guys. You don't know the feeling yet. But we walked there and I looked up at my phone, and I was in the state like 8 hours and I don't really know, I think like 8 hours and 30 minutes was it around. I was like, okay, that was the most hellish thing I ever did. And I did it quicker than the time amount that was recommended. The feeling was immense, and after that day you would say a happy ending, and that was when I found out I can do more than a thing. No, brother, I was fucking dead, man. But a few days later, when I drove home and I really thought about the path I did, it really makes me happy till this day, because like that was such a huge thing. I have one of the most hugest thing I ever did, unprepared. What I learned is you need to learn to trust yourself. And if you learn to trust yourself and you trust yourself even more, you are able to achieve higher things. So how do you do that? Do you say, oh no, do I need to climb now a 16-kilometer mountain? Yes, you can do it, but that's just an extreme version of what I did. You can do that very easily with a few more steps. If you do it the right way, you can do it way easier than I did. Of course, if you have something, you can, like a big thing, like the Finland mountains that for example, was my anchor thing when I'm doubting myself. It sounds like out of context right now, but that's why I don't really like, that's why I personally think like New Year's resolution is bad for you. Stay with me here. Because you promise yourself something so huge that you know will change your life, but in the end you will not change that or not do that. And that is why your self-trust is so low. And when you say something to yourself, say like, I want to do that, your first thought is, fuck no, I will never do that. Because from your past experiences, you said something and you never did it. So of course you're doubting yourself. And how are you able to achieve something when everyone is doubting you? So you need to never doubt yourself. And how you do that? You do that by keeping the promises you teach yourself. For example, that's why I'm a very big fan about goal settings. You need to make the big goal, for example, getting a six-pack, getting the dream body of yours. To break it down in small goals, you will not just instantly go from one day to another to become a person who's able to get a six-pack. You need to build that shit. You need to keep promises for yourself. And because of that, you need to make it in small goals. First of all, find a gym. Find the nearest gym here. It doesn't really matter where it is, just the nearest gym, because the farther away it is, the more reasons you have not to go. Because if you think about it, if you need to travel 30 minutes to go to the gym every day, and you have a gym that's like 4 minutes away, of course fucking choose the 4 minute way. It doesn't really matter which one is better. Just take the nearest gym, for example. And then you go to the first session. Then, for example, you get a personal coach, so you learn a way to... You get a routine in. You learn how to use the machines. Then you go learn about nutrients, then about all the basic things you need to start building your body. And then you need to have a fixed routine where you can like go to the gym, and afterwards and every more you get more nearer to the goal. So if you think about it, you never was in a gym before, and you say, okay, in the end of the year I want to have a golden six-pack with like lines where you think like, fuck that is like carved marmor. You probably will not achieve it because there's so much you need to do. Don't get me wrong, you can achieve it. I'm just telling you that it's way difficult if you just break down these steps to something like, okay, I want this year to, first of all, find a gym, go there consistently, get all the information I need, and start a routine. That is something far more simpler and far more achievable. And if you do that and you got that, then when you say about next year and you are, for example, in a bulk phase in the winter and New Year resolution is there, then you can say, okay, I will cut down and get a six-pack until summer. Because why do you think it's possible, and do you trust yourself doing it? Yes, because you have everything in a set place already, and you know you just need to continue doing it to get to your goal. And you see how I did change the goal from, okay, I'm getting a six-pack in 1 year, to more achievable goals that are like, you can trust yourself easily with. That's why I really want to emphasize how important it is to like cut down goals into small achievable goals. I made a whole video about goal settings plus how to find your purpose, and because without a purpose, goals are very not important. You need a purpose to have the right goals to achieve your purpose. But I have another video about it here. You can watch that as well. And that's why I'm very emphasizing about you need to make key promises that you tell yourself. And it's very important, because so you're about build one of the foundations. As again, foundation is very, very important. That's like one path of the foundation you need so you can trust yourself more, so you can achieve more in life. I know I say this like 2 or 3 times, but it's very emphasized. Without a solid foundation, you will never build a successful life. It's like saying, okay, you want to build the highest building, and the highest building is the top floor is you becoming the dream life, a millionaire, with a loving wife, loving kids, you have a dream body, you look good. But if the ground, the foundation, it's just sand, brother, the shit will collapse after like halfway through. You didn't really achieve your end goal because your foundations just slipped up and the whole building is crashing. That's why I'm very emphasizing about how very important foundation is. And again, I'm teaching you everything about it in Level Out. But don't forget, try and fail, but never fail to try. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye bye.